Hi guys. My name is Ron, B as in boy, E, and my job is I teach here at Sarah High School. I also have work over at the University of San Diego. I run a leadership institute there. I run another institute at Oxford University in the wintertime, which I also teach at Grossmont College and Miramar College. I went to University of California, San Diego, right here in San Diego. That's what made me fall in love with San Diego. My major was history with French literature minor. I got proficiency in both German and French while I was there, and that got me interested in international relations. I knew by the end of college that I'd be doing something policy related, and that would require me to go to Washington, D.C. First job out of college was I was asked to be the National Organizations Coordinator for the Americans for SALT's non-governmental organization, and SALT stood for Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. And my job was to try and get people to put pressure on their senators to vote for ratification of the SALT II treaty, which was up for ratification at the end of Jimmy Carter's reign. In fact, that's when I moved to Washington. Here's a picture of me asking a question to Jimmy Carter in the East Wing of the White House. And he signed it, best wishes to Ron B. But after that question that I asked, I was offered a job in the reception afterwards. That's what got me the job, by taking a stand and asking a question. I ended up being in Washington for the next 15 years. Eventually, when I went to Washington, I pitched the idea to a boss who wrote this book, looking the tiger in the eye, confronting a nuclear threat, kind of a scary tiger coming out of a mushroom cloud. But here I am with my co-author in 1988. This ended up becoming a New York Times Notable Book of the Year and a Washington Post bestseller. Not having a doctorate, but having a doctorate in real life in terms of doing real things, sometimes the academy and the policy world don't see eye to eye, and having parachuted in from Washington to teaching here in San Diego, there's sometimes a distrust by those who have done things rather than those who have just read books and described things. And so that, shall we say, there is a tendency to distrust people who have done things, and those who have done things have a tendency to distrust those who don't do things. And so just because I don't have a degree has kept me from going to some places that I would have liked to have worked. It would be between two. One was in high school, actually. Taking the issue of equal funding for women's sports all the way to the Supreme Court. As an 18-year-old, it ended up becoming Title IX, so equal funding women's sports, and now it's been extended to nobody should commit sexual harassment because it's a civil right. You should be able to come to school and equally participate without threats. That's one, and the other one was in the Middle East, where we very quietly negotiated a way for the Israelis to leave Gaza, and there to be joint cooperation between Israelis and Palestinians for that to happen. That saved a bunch of lives, and for that I'm very, very proud of that. So I'm proud of the things that have affected the most people. Write, and also start writing in the active voice. Lose the is, was, and wers. Put active verbs in your sentences and have a beginning, middle, and an end. Tie it up in a bow. Every chapter can be a mini book in that way, but when you put a bunch of chapters together, it becomes a book. And trust me, if you learn how to write actively for whatever you do. It doesn't have to be international relations. It gets noticed, you get better grades, and once you get better grades, you'll feel like writing more. Doing more than anyone else expects you to. Right? Reading beyond the syllabus. Doing what you want to do, but as well as you can. You know, if you push yourself, you will succeed. I did all of this not because anybody expected me to, but I expected myself to. And I consider one of the big successful things I do is teaching right here at Sarah High School. And people don't understand why I do it. I want to do it. I don't have to. I could be in a job in Washington, D.C., but I want to be in San Diego in a place and making a difference for my students.